Welcome back, everybody, to Learning Happy Hour. My name is Patrick Bradley. I am a senior technical trainer with Palo Alto Networks.
And I am Luke Teeters. I am a systems engineer for Palo Alto Networks.
And today we are giving thanks for new things. We're going to be talking about the new firewall offerings from Palo Alto Networks. First, the 5450 series, and then we're going to talk about the 400 series. So I'm going to let Luke take over on this, and we're going to talk a little bit about these two things.
Thanks, Patrick. Hey, so we're going to talk about the PA5450 series, and then we're going to move on to the PA400 series and talk about why these were introduced and where they would fit in your environment. So to start with the PA5450, it is a modular chassis-based appliance that has up to 150 gigabits of threat inspection, which is quite incredible. It has something that we recently introduced as a 25 gig interface breakout, which can be done with one of our 100 gig interfaces here on the front. The PA5450 was optimized for the machine learning inline prevention introduced in PanOS 10.0. We also introduced the ability to do HA clustering with these appliances, and it supports up to 100 million sessions. So these things are beasts. They can handle a lot.
Yeah, high number.
Yeah, very high numbers here. Now, what's really interesting about this appliance is the form factor, which we'll get into. Also, the ability to pick what kind of cards you put into this chassis to accommodate the performance requirements that are needed for your environment. So let's move on to the next slide here.
Oh, quick question. While you're gonna go into that, but I'm just saying, you know, we've been using the same devices, basically, right? We went from say 5,000 to 5,200, that kind of thing. But there was always this sort of enterprise level up to the 5,000 series, and then we took this big jump to the 7,000 series, and that was your more large scale environments, you know, service providers, universities, whatever that might be. So where does the 5,400 find itself in between those, lack of a better word, the traditional models we've been using here for the last, I don't know how many years?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, you know, I work with customers directly out in the field. And sometimes when you look at when you look at the data sheets, the 5220, 5250, 5260, they all have different stats, right? What do you need? Well, if you need larger than a 5260, really your next option in the past was the 7K, which is the large chassis-based appliance. The 5450 fits right in between, and it gives you more flexibility around how much performance you need. And also, you know, SSL decryption is becoming something that a lot of organizations are focused on. So how do you increase the compute power of a static appliance? You can't do that.
Right.
So with this 5450, we're now able to add additional computes, not necessarily additional IO, which we'll cover. But yeah, I do have a slide in here that will show where this fits. Okay. But yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I think it looks like there's a bit of an overlap to each end is what it looks like. But yeah, it was always a pretty big jump to suddenly have to say, well, we're now at the capacity where we have to make this very big commitment. So this is
right.
When this came out, it was always kind of like, oh, I love the game changers. That's all I'm saying. So all right, continue on.
Yeah. So if you look at the front panel here, the card here on the left, this is the network card. So this is the IO, right? The different interfaces that you would need to, you know, process traffic. As you can see, there's copper. We have some of the larger QSFP28 interfaces here. So this supports 40 gig and 100 gig, and you could also do 25 gig breakout cable on these interfaces. And then you have your traditional SFP, SFP plus interfaces here for your fiber connections, etc. And then on the second card to the right here, this is the data plane card. The data plane card is the compute, right? So as you can see on what we're looking at, this has several data plane cards. So depending on what type of performance you need, you can add additional data plane cards, which increases the capacity of the overall chassis. On the right here, this is the management card. So obviously you need to manage this thing so you can console into it. Um, the logging out of the box when you forward it to your Panorama or Cortex Data Lake, etc., or your SIM, syslog server. You also have the ability to do management via fiber or copper here, and then also your traditional HA one and then HA2 interfaces. So this is all done on the management card, and this is built into the chassis. Notice this here. This is a 4 terabyte solid state drive for on-box logging, which is on the management card. So this is essentially the front of the 5450, and then the back of the appliance, there's 4 built-in fans, and it comes out of the box with 2 power supplies here. But as you can see, you can add additional power supplies. So, pretty straightforward. This is the back of the chassis. As I was discussing earlier, this thing is scaling performance. So it's modular, so you can add these different cards depending on your needs, all the way up to 150 gigs of threat inspection. So, if you're looking at a 5260, again, it's a static device, so you really have to right size the appliance for the environment. When you go say, hey, I need to buy a Palo firewall, you have to say, okay, well, how much throughput do I need? What's really nice about the 5450 is you could essentially start out with the base, which would be 1 network card, 1 data plane, the management plane, obviously, which would get you around 37 gigs of threat prevention. But if you needed to add additional compute in the future, you just essentially go out to your friendly sales rep and get a new card and slide it in. So,
What we used to call the forklift replacement, or now I'm
right,
forgetting
yeah.
the term, yeah.
That's my biggest fear, right? I mean, can you imagine putting in, let's say, 5220, you stick it in the environment, and you quickly learn that you need larger, right? Now you have to go replace it. That's a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah,
So how do you fix that, right?
Forklift upgrade, that was the term I was trying to think of. But yeah, that's what we used to refer
Right.
to it when you had to, all these large chassis didn't do the job. Now you got to go bigger. So that is like the flexibility, the scalability. That is again,
Right.
of the game changers. Okay, sorry, continue
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. So what's really nice again is the size of this thing. So if you needed to do a lot of decryption, for example, right? If you went out and loaded up the 5450 with 1 network card and 5 data plane cards, you would get the maximum decryption capability. And to get similar performance on the 5260, for example, it would eat up 15 U's of space in your data center, right? And you get the same performance with 5 U's, so 1/3. So it's compact, it's modular, it's you put it into the environment, and then as future needs come your way, you can just go out and get additional cards. So exciting stuff.
Although the 15U solution would help keep you warm in the data center, there's that.
It would keep you warm in the data center. So yeah, this is where it sits. As you can see, right, if you went out and procured a 5260 and stuck it in the data center, you're looking at around 31.5 gigs of throughput. But if you went out and purchased the base, 1 data plane, 1 network card, 5450, you get slightly better performance out of the base. And that's the starting point. So once you add additional cards, you're looking at some pretty incredible numbers.
Right.
And it sits nicely between the 5200 series and the 7K chassis, which that's the largest appliance you can go out and procure.
Right. So there's an efficiency there to start. So even if you're not necessarily achieving the same level of throughput or performance, what have you, you are doing it in far less. And then of course it can grow to a point of surpassing the 5200 side and then getting into the 7000 performance side too. So
Right. And one final thing is that 25 gig breakout. So I we did include that in a PanOS update with the 7Ks, I
Right,
think on the newer cards. But if you need 25 gig interface throughput, or 25 gig interface connectivity,
right.
you would want to do the 5450 and then use the breakout cable. So that's now available uh, on this new appliance.
Very cool.
All right, so now let's talk about another exciting topic, which is the PA400 series. Now, the PA400 series has a place on the chart as well. But just to give you a overview of why we're introducing this appliance, well, let's think back. We have the PA220, which we use on the Learning Happy Hour often, actually. All those videos that we've been uploading here, uh, we've been doing on PA220s. Decryption, all the cool features, and understanding how it works. As you can see on this chart here, when you compare the 400 series to the 220, there's a significant increase, right? I mean, even the boot times, right? Like 5x faster boot times. This is massive. Customers, they deploy a 220, they go do the update. It takes a while to boot. Let's be honest. This is 5x faster boot time. So this is a, pretty significant increase here. As well as the performance. I mean, look at this, 10x higher performance if you compare it to the PA220. And
Yeah,
it's the
this
same
is what I've
same
asked Santa
size.
for this year. I'm rubbing my hands like I'm really hoping we get,
Right.
I don't know if I even can get one, but I've been pestering to see if we could get one. So just for the boot
Right,
camp
yeah.
alone, right? But I'm excited to see
Yeah,
the
for
commit
sure.
time. That's the one I really want to see. But
Yeah, so these things are, again, they're beasts. And what's really interesting is they are noiseless. They have no fan.
yeah,
So again, this is incredible technology. This is, everyone wants their hands on these 400 series, I'll be honest with you.
yeah, I'm sure
Redundant power,
that went crazy.
you know, they were created so we have new machine learning inline prevention capabilities. These were designed specifically and optimized for that. Like, this is purpose-built hardware.
Yeah,
And these things can be mounted on the wall. They could be rack mounted. We have a kit, and then they could also be just on the desktops, which is, in my lab here, I just have my 220 on the desktop. So, really exciting. I have a lot of customers that I cover here in Northeast Ohio that are very interested in the 400 series, and for good reason, right? These numbers are incredible.
you can do a lot with a very small, form factor and everything else. But the point is that this used to be the PA 200, 220, that realm was very much a small office, branch office solution. It does what it does. It's not super high bandwidth, but it's fine for what it was built, for the purpose for which it was built. But this actually,
Right,
speaking of overlap again, this kind of takes us again into this. This could be small enterprise in addition to just being small, the traditional small office, just because of its capabilities and the amount it can do in terms of throughput and threat prevention. So again,
right.
another game changer, right? You could get into a very high power solution for not as much money as you would have had to do, in the past, right? So
Right. Yeah. So, we don't talk cost here. We're just the
right.
engineers, but definitely reach out to your sales rep and get a quote for these things. I think you'll be pleased. I'll just say
Thanks for the
that.
disclaimer. the lawyers
Right.
can the lawyers can calm down now. So
Right, right, for sure. So I 100% agree with what you said, right? This is definitely enterprise ready. So, a lot of organizations right now are looking at zero trust, right?
right.
They're looking at implementing these programs in reality, in production, like actually doing something with this. So I cover what we call major accounts, so like really large enterprise organizations, and they're buying these things like crazy. I mean, what I'm seeing a lot of is network segmentation, which we've done a video on actually. And essentially, what that means is, when VLAN A goes to VLAN B, I want to do threat inspection. I want to understand who it is, what's the app, etc. So you know, dropping an HA pair of 400 series at the branch is now possible, and these things can keep up with the performance and requirements of the organization. I wanted to show this because, we do sell this rack kit. It's a rack mount, and you actually put them side by side. So you could actually, in one U in your rack, you can deploy these things, and they make no noise. They're fanless. They also have redundant power. So in a nice, neat little 1U rack kit, um, you can put these things side by side, configure them for HA, and you're off to the races. Really exciting. Now, if you look at the raw numbers, it's unbelievable. I mean, look at the PA220, 300 megabits per second. That's actually what I'm on right now. Like,
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. So
in my home internet connection, I actually have 300 megs per second. Now, if I increased it to a gig at the house, now I have a bottleneck. I have a 220. But what if I went out and got a PA460? Wow, look at this. 2.4 gigs. That's some that's some serious numbers, let's be honest. And if you compare this 460 to the other series in the portfolio, you'll quickly understand why I'm so excited. Again, this is all done in the same form factor as traditionally what the 220 was. So again, significant performance improvements when you compare it to what we used to offer.
yeah, and again, that's why it's on my list. So I want that higher bandwidth.
So here's the final slide, and essentially what I wanted to show here is, like, again, that 300 megs per second all the way up to the 460. You're looking at around 2.6 gigabits per second. Well, let's take a look at the 800 series and the 3200 series, which are other series in the portfolio. 2.6 gigs. Wow, look at this. It's this, if you went out and deployed a PA3220, it's getting 2.6. If you
Right.
went out and deployed a 460, it's getting the same. I mean, this is incredible. Like,
And that's what I meant by,
now,
you know, the idea of what you get for your money kind of thing. Not to talk cost, but point being
right,
is
yeah, total cost of
something.
ownership though, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
that's
So
what I'm
like,
getting.
yeah, cost per throughput, yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
the caveats here, there's no SFP or SFP ports, or there's no SFP or SFP plus ports on the 460. You're going to get copper only. So that's if you want to think of it as a caveat, we don't have that ability. But I'll be honest, a lot of the customers I see deploying these, they don't need SFP plus. They're fine with copper.
Yeah.
So if that works, you're good to go. So again, these are new to the portfolio, so you do have to run PanOS 10.1 for both the PA5450 as well as the PA400 series appliances, which I believe last week was officially stamped the TAC preferred version of PanOS 10.1 was officially posted. So, we will eventually. I don't believe we've done a PanOS 10.1 video here on the Learning Happy Hour yet, but we will.
It's coming.
We'll get it
Yeah.
out there. It's coming. So there's a lot of new features, a lot of new security capabilities, inline machine learning, additional improvements to different security subscriptions on these appliances. Really exciting stuff here at Palo Alto Networks. And these appliances are recently released, I want to say, in the last few months. I've been seeing these get deployed out in production, and it's been wonderful for those who have deployed these.
So for those who are averse to being early adopters, it's you're not an early adopter anymore. It's been out long enough, and you'll be fine.
Right,
But also,
right, yeah,
if you need that kind of performance, and you just want new toys, there it is. So I
right.
don't. I guess we're geeks, so we get excited about these things. But it's always cool to see the new stuff come out and what it can do. So it's well, what do you say? I love technology. What can I say? So
Right.
mhm.
Yeah, so that's that. I mean, again, really exciting stuff. I mean, it's not every day that we introduce new hardware, right? So when we do introduce new hardware, there's definitely a reason, right? It fits in the portfolio nicely, and you know, the needs of the organizations that are deploying these. I mean, it fits. It really does.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all right.
cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And thanks for breaking it down for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks for watching the video. We'll be back with the next episode soon, and happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays and everyone stay safe. Thanks.